Welcome back, my meowing milkmaids!
Don't ever call us that again.
Then I'll just say welcome back, as we brought Caine, the enigmatic ringleader of the digital circus, in 4 different styles. Today we're starting off with my style, and for those of you who are new to the channel, my style is very similar to Impressionism. I liken it to a modern version of Impressionism. Impressionism of the early 1900s, they like to focus on thin but yet visible brushstrokes, and they loved lighting, and they loved color. But for me, I like to accentuate the values of color. I love to make it pop, and I love to make it very vibrant, almost akin to pop art. Though not a fan of the style of art itself, what I do absolutely love with pop art is their play with color, their vibrancy. It's so rich, you just can't repeat it. When you see something that's made by Andy Warhol or other famous pop artists, it just literally jumps off the page. It has a sense of life to it on a 2-dimensional canvas that just can't be expressed. Next, I brought back the cracked effect, and I actually think this works really well because, as we've seen in many of the first couple of episodes of the Amazing Digital Circus, these characters are quite literally about to crack. Spoiler free for anyone who hasn't seen the 4th episode yet, but there does come a point in the episode where, sadly, one of the characters has a moment, and for anyone who has ever felt any kind of sadness or depression, this resonates almost a little too hard with, at least it did with me, and I don't know if it did with you, but when I saw that moment, I was actually a little shocked because though a lot of crazy, weird things have happened throughout the show, and it kind of pushes the envelope of what we can put on the internet, they did something that is kind of like a very line-drawing thing for me. But it was written in such a way that makes perfect sense. And when you see the episode, you'll understand. Back to the artwork, with this particular section, a lot of you have asked for some tips and tutorials. Well, here's how I get all these nice little intricate cracks that I do throughout the piece. And that is, take your time, do nice little soft feather strokes as you're seeing I'm doing here. This is actual speed. This isn't slowed down or sped up. This is how I actually do each individual little spider crack stroke. Up next is abstracted. Now I was going to do a glitch, but I actually wanted to have something that encompasses elements of glitch, but is also harkening back to the show. And that's why I created the abstraction effect. Well, literally the effect in the show. And for those of you who are new to the show or just simply forgot, abstraction is basically where the psyche of the characters push way beyond the breaking point and they've had a total psychological collapse. And basically what happens is they become this abstracted monstrosity, completely glitched out from the show or the Amazing Digital Circus entirely. So I decided to add these little quick effect glitch lines just to give that little homage to the glitch effect. Let me know what you guys think. And next is horror. For the horror effect, I actually kept it very close to realism, because when we look at Caine, he is quite the horrific character. So I basically gave the teeth a lot more detail, some crooked crackness to it, and I did add the tongue that he does present throughout the show. I decided to add some barbs onto the tongue, but I'm taking that back. Really what I want to showcase to you in this particular quadrant is the amount of time, but how really you can get amazing detail with a very simple palette. See, when you look at Caine, he's really just a lot of red in this particular section and a lot of grays. But by adding variations, subtle variations of color, you can get beautiful gradients. So I added a lot of little blues and purples into the gum line. I added a lot of different values of gray, not just black, not just white. There's yellow grays, there's blue grays, there's green grays. And then I add a lot of white, but I add it sparingly because it is so powerful. If you add a lot of black or a lot of white, it can really muddy the overall design. So this is almost realism in a horrific style, if that makes sense. But I think it does, because when you look at Caine, he's just really actually a scary character. If you're having trouble blending or achieving any kind of mixed media success, the one thing I will tell you is that you have to really let your layers dry. So if you're working with alcohol markers or inks, like for instance I do, you see me bounce from one section to the next, and then I'll go and add a layer, and then I'll let it dry, and then I'll go to another area, and I'll work with that, and then I'll let it dry. If you try to immediately apply inks, and then you try to apply color pencils, you're not going to get the same crispness of the lines. And there's a lot of interplay in textures. See, when you see me draw the tongue just a moment ago, I added a lot of these tiny little circles just for texture. Same thing with the eyeball here. There's lots of little lines that are actually making up the dimensions, not necessarily the color itself. I'm using the color to make all these little three-dimensional highlights and shadows. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Do let me know which one is your favorite section in the comments below. I love reading all of your comments. And here's my wonderful desk after everything was completed. It looks like a horror show unto itself. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you all for stopping by. And if you like this video, then you should check out this video that's popping on your screen now, because YouTube thinks you'll really like it.